Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Gaz at Fermented World. Today I'm going to be taking a hydrometer reading of this, which is my sour mead. So I had an idea of trying to balance out sour with sweetness to give a nice sour taste as well as a sweet taste. Don't know how it's going to work out. It's a bit of an experiment. It's got gooseberries from the garden. It's got garden mint from the garden. And it's also got... is it half a lemon? Might have half a lemon or a full lemon in there. Can't remember without having a look. So let's have a look. Be a good idea, wouldn't it? To give you the correct information. Yeah, it's half a lemon. And it had 720 grams of blossom honey. And then 320 grams of some cheap honey just to kind of boost up the fermentables. So we're going to take a hydrometer reading, see where it's at. We're going to rack it off because it's ready to go into secondary. It's been in a month in there. It's only just, some of the lemon pieces have only just settled down, to be honest. The gooseberries are all still at the top, but we're going to go past that, take a hydrometer reading, see where we're at with that. I've got some potassium sorbate and some, here we go, let's see if I can say it. Sodium metabisulfate. That wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And they're pretty much what stops the fermentation. It doesn't kill the yeast, as some people seem to think. It just puts like a coating around them, enabling them from consuming any more sugar. These are actually past their best before, so that might be why they're not working too great. That's past its best before, but I'm going to use them up anyway because that's just life. So I've got my clean demijohn, which is what it's going into. It's been sanitized and rinsed, so we're going to try and collect this out of there. We've got I'm going to pop that over there in the sanitizing water so I can have a little bit of a clean while we do this. And let's get it on. Sadly, I can't taste this, sorry. So my taster baster is just a baster today, because I'm not allowed to taste it until the 1st, but hopefully this will sit in secondary for a week while the stoppers get to work, and then we'll decide whether we're going to backsweeten it or not. Reason why you put stoppers in, if you're going to backsweeten, because if you add more honey, obviously there's fermentable sugars, the yeast could reactivate and start consuming that, which isn't a bad thing. It'll give you more overall alcohol, but that's not what we want. We want the flavour of the sweetness of the honey. So let's take a wee hydrometer reading and see where we're at. Still plenty of floaty bits kicking about in here. Start gravity was 1.120, so it's quite high. And we are I need a bit more in there actually. Not too much though. The alcohol smells really potent in this, which is a good sign. That's resting at 1.004. Make a quick note of that, otherwise I will forget. Date 24th. 1.00, double check, 4, which means it's gone dry. Anything below 10, 1.010 is classed as a dry mead. Anything above that, between that and I think it's 25, can't remember what I read last night. It was in my big book of mead. which is a really good book. I'm going to try some of those recipes. Right, so this is going to go into, let's get that, because we're going to mix this into the potassium sorbate and the metabisulfate as well. So we want to get that in there to begin with. That's got the dissolved stoppers in. Then I'm going to be racking it off into this big pitcher, so that can go in there. And I'm going to leave this a week, and in a week's time I'll be able to actually taste it, because that's when my sponsored no alcohol ends. Yay! Which I'm quite happy about. It's not been easy, but it is what it is. You do these things, and that's that, innit? So, like I say, we're just going to rack this off into there, like normal. Get that right down in there. Lots of whirly bits. Give it a bit of a pump. Get it going. Still bits of mint in there coming out with it, but I assume that that's just going to be part and parcel of this. It didn't really settle out too much. There's a possibility I may have to strain it, but to be honest, I'm not really too bothered about leaving it in there. We'll just see what happens, I suppose. You know. Just leave that in there doing its thing. Didn't mean to do that. That's just kicked up loads of shit. Now it's going to take forever to settle back out because I wanted to speed this up, but there's no bloody point now because I've already fluffed it. You tried your best and failed miserably. The lesson is, never try. We be rockin', rockin', we're rockin'. Me wanna rock it with you. Me rockin', me rockin', me rockin'. I hope you like rockin' too. See, the thing about mead is it's small batches. It's really easy to just bottle, rack, change over to another demijohn, put into secondary, etc. Now, when I brew beer as well, so just from the kits at the moment, but I do plan to step it up next year and go to an all-grain kit. But it's just the bottling, you know, it takes forever because you've got to clean all them bottles out and then sterilise them after washing them, and then sit there after that for an hour bottling like 40 bottles of beer. It's a bit bloody boring. So that's coming up to 4 litres now. And we're leaving behind most of the mint, hopefully. We're leaving behind all the gooseberry shells. And we're leaving behind the lemon. Don't you dare pop out of there. Well, I think that's all we're going to get, because there's loads of gloopies in that, and I don't particularly want them. I'll take a bit of a loss. Yeah, Yeah, that's not too bad. So just over 4 litres, which isn't too bad really. And then that's going to leave all of that junk in there. I'm going to go quickly rinse this out and I'll be back in a second. So I'm back, and soon we'll be putting this into the clean demijohn with the fermentation stoppers in. But just for now, I want to try and get any CO2 that's lurking around in here. I'm quite new to this, so I've not really noticed it. I haven't even tried my first brew yet of mead. So that's happening on the 1st, because it was supposed to be the 22nd, but I can't drink at the moment. So I've not really had any chance of noticing any off flavours given by not stirring out CO2. Now there's next to nothing coming out of this. There's no bubbles surfacing at all. So I'm quite happy with that really. But I'm going to go again in a little bit, and then I'll probably do it again before bottling anyway. We're not adding air here. We are gently just disturbing it to try and get any CO2 out. Or there's other gases in there as well. Got a few bubbles now, but minimal. Next to nothing. You can actually attach some sort of thing to a drill to do this. I mean, that's actually got quite a nice colour actually. If I'm looking at it on there from what you can see, it looks a bit different to me from here. But that looks quite a nice colour actually. And it will settle out whilst in secondary and be a bit better. In an ideal world, my sink would be right here. But we don't live in an ideal world, do we? Right, so when racking, you need one thing higher than the other, because gravity is what plays the big part here. So that's got the stoppers in already. I don't normally put them in already, I normally add them after, but the way that I've been reading from this big book of mead recipes that I've been reading, it just says put them in and then add the drink. So that's going to go in there like so, and I think I'm actually going to use something that I very rarely even remember that I've got, and it's not that one. Where's the black one? I think that's it. No, that can't be it. That's way too big. It's supposed to go on there apparently. Maybe. Sort of. Maybe. Woo! There you go. It's not been sterilised though. That was a dick move. Anyway, stop me having to hold on to the bloody thing. So now it's going from there to there with floaty bits. See if we can get some footage of that. Whee! Bits of the mint plant still in there, which I think I might find difficult to get out. There's every possibility that I might have to re-rack and put it through a really fine muslin or something like that to catch all the bits of crud. But they might settle out ready for when I do the next rack. They weren't really what was floating to the top. It was actually the gooseberries that were floating up, so. Steady as she goes. I need to buy some more of these actually. These thermometer strips. The one that I was actually fermenting it in was one that my mum had found after she'd given me all the other ones. It didn't have one on, but I had one next to it, so I knew roughly where it was at and what it was doing. So yeah, I'll actually be able to taste this one before bottling, as where the Measure, the Hungarian mead, I won't be able to taste that one unless I leave it in secondary for longer. Could do. See, I wasn't going to backsweeten that one, but I think I might. I'm going to have some acacia honey left over. I might just drop 340 grams of that in it, just for the grin. And there you have it, racked and ready. Waste not, want not. So now that's going to sit in secondary for about a week. We'll see whether it's stopped fermenting, see if it gives any more pressure or anything like that. Like I say, when I was stirring it, I couldn't see a great deal of bubbles coming off it, so I reckon it is done. It's down to a low enough gravity to say that it is finished, but there is still fermentable sugars in there because alcohol is less dense than water. So water is at the 1.000 mark. Alcohol actually goes down to 0.990. And that is as dry as it can go. Now that's as dry as dry. That's like dry. I don't really like dry, so I prefer it with a bit of sweetness, which is making me think even more that I'm going to backsweeten that with some acacia honey from Morrison's. But we shall see. At least it'd mean that I'd be able to taste it in a week. And that's that. Racked and ready. Yeah, so I'm going to put this over here and then that's that. Ready to rock and roll. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll settle out and clear out a little bit like this one has. That's looking nice and clear now. The book that I've been reading, Big Book of Mead, says as soon as you can read through it, it's ready to bottle. And I can read through that now. It's only been 4 days, but 4 or 5 days. Yeah, so it's only got another 2 days anyway. But I'm going to leave it the 2 days, see what happens, make sure it's done. I'm going to pop that over here actually. Need to label it. Need to label it. Label it. Sour mead. Which was started on October 21st. Can't even spell October with an abbreviation. Terrible. And that should be around 12 to 13%, but we'll see. Adios, amigos.